Thanks for clicking on the video. Like, subscribe, and share if you find this useful or interesting. In the last episode, we made this, and I said in the next episode, we're going to play with these surfaces. I'm going to use this coffee break instead to give you an idea of the power of these surfaces and the workflow. Because what we actually will do together next is this. We will blend these surfaces, right? Here are the main surfaces, and now they've been blended. That's what we need to do, because it's very important that you understand how the blending works before you can design good surfaces. What does that mean? Right now, this model is pretty boring. It's got straight lines joining the sections, and there's only a little bit of curvature on each piece. That makes it a good starter object, but it's not very interesting, and it doesn't show you the power of Silk, because the main power of Silk is not the blends, it's the design of these main surfaces. And here's what that looks like. In this model, I have taken the straight lines joining the sections, and I have turned them into full 3D curves. Each curve is capable of reversing one time, so you can have two curvatures in each piece. And the curves can be fully three-dimensional. If we look at this curve here, it is not in any particular plane. Same thing with this one. There is no plane you can look at this curve and find it to be flat. So this is very powerful, but setting up these three-dimensional curves is actually one of the hardest parts of Silk. So it's a little bit too early for us right now, but I want to demonstrate it. Because what this means is that you can do a lot with a very small number of surfaces by taking advantage of the three-dimensional curves and the fact that each curve can reverse one time. So here, right here, this would be an example of where you need two surfaces right here. If you really, really want this side to curve one way and then reverse, and then you want the same thing coming from the other side, that means that there's 1, 2, 3 curve reversals. So you can't do this entire curve with a single surface. You need two surfaces to get this type of feature. Then it ends up with a sharp corner, and that's what we need to blend. The first thought that comes to anyone's mind when you see this is like, well, I'm just going to align the curves to each other and then I won't need to blend. Of course, I had the same thought, and I tried that. And but there's only very, very, very few times where this actually works, and it's actually the hardest thing in the world. Making primary surfaces align well to each other is incredibly difficult, and that's why you need blending. You have to know how blending works, because the next thing after you realize that you cannot align these two really well is the next thought that will come to anyone's mind is, well, it'll work if I just had more points in each surface. Right now, I only have 4 points in each of these curves, so if I had more points, that would give me room to align. And there's two problems with that. First, it doesn't work. It will never work. And number two, now you've created all these points along these curves, and that means you need 1,000,000 extra points in the middle of the surface, and these are very hard to manage. Even if you do that, you will still have to blend eventually. No matter what, you could have 1,000,000 points on this line and 1,000,000 points on this line, and avoid blending as long as possible. A day will come where you have to blend. So in these tutorials, blending is what we're going to do next. Right now, I'm showing you that there's a lot of flexibility within each surface, and that's where most of the design actually happens. We don't really tweak these blending surfaces all that much. We modify the original design, and it is much more powerful because these surfaces here are much higher quality than these surfaces here for the blend. The blend is always a compromise. So here I'm showing this is not very pretty, because it's just an example of how flexible the entire thing is. Right? You see, like, I've created this really sharp peak right here, and there's a reversal right here, there's a reversal right here. There's a single curve on this one, a reversal here. It's pretty ugly, But the point is to show the flexibility. What does a good surface model look like? A good surface model looks like this. I have a very small number of main surfaces, the absolute minimum number I need for what I want, and then when I blend them, I get what I find to be a very good result. And the character of this final shape has a good relationship to the original surfaces. Even though there's a large blending between these three main sections here, right? It's the light blue. The light blue is the edge blend. Even though there's a lot of blending, the final surfaces remain very, very similar to the primary surfaces, but now the result is completely smooth. And so to create this thing, you only create the parts you really care about. In this case, I decided that I really cared that I wanted this top edge here to be completely flat. And in the final result, it's blended and still completely flat. The backside is completely flat. And I also wanted to have a distinct flat face on the keel. And when I look at the final result, I still have this very distinct flat area on the keel and a good blend. So, most of the character of this design comes from these primary surfaces. They are well worth the time to make just right, and they are well worth the time to set up fully three-dimensional curves to control them. And this helps you keep the number of surfaces to a minimum and to pack the most control humanly possible into each control sketch. And these are the control sketches I'm showing here. This entire model comes from these sketches. All right, so I hope that this will give you motivation to learn how to make these primary surfaces well. And unfortunately, that has to wait, because in order to do this right, you have to know the consequences of blending and how blending actually works. So this is what we will do together in the next episode. We will cut back the main surfaces, leaving only a little piece in the middle. And then we will blend across each edge. See, there's a blend from here to here, a blend from here to here, a blend from here to here. And once we've made all the remaining all the pieces of the primary surfaces that remain, and we've blended across all the edges, then we have a filler structure for the square that is left in each hole. I hope you found this informative, and I'll see you in the next one.